Oh, welcome, Mr. Ravi. Finally, in some form, we are talking today, so I'm happy to do this.
Uh-huh.
I've known you now for a long time. I would like to know a little bit more of your own personal journey as a physiotherapist, right? So, to give a background to people who will be watching this in the future, I am today talking to Mr. Ranganathan. I've known him now, I think, for close to 13 to 14 years now. I have been very lucky to find good resources through Google search. So my father had a brain hemorrhage and I was desperately looking for a physiotherapist and I found Sir online. And then that relationship has now continued for, like, as I said, 13 to 14 years through a lot of changes in our own journeys in the respective fields that we have been in. And I can still say with lot of confidence that he's one of the few physiotherapists we trust very explicitly in Chennai. And his expertise is still quite unquestionable for me. So today we wanted to talk as a series that we are doing to specialists and experts to know one is, of course, their work, also to know how their journey has been, what has been their challenges through the journey. So, Mr. Ravi, why don't you start telling us a little bit about your background? Like, where did you get trained? Where did you first start working to the point till when you started Pain and Stroke Rehabilitation Center in Chennai?
Okay. Thanks for having me here in the first place. Okay, it's an honor. Though I think I have done only my part, but it has impacted people in several ways. That's why I have this relationships, and yours is such one which has lasted 14 years, like you said. Okay, and talking about me, I started the career in a I don't know. I knew about physiotherapy, but I was not planning to do physiotherapy. My dad literally dragged me in. And once he was forcing me to go into Government College of Physiotherapy. That was way back in 1983. So pushed in, and then the people over there made me look at life a whole lot differently. So that's where it changed me all. Okay, from there on, they got me involved. The way I talk now, the way I move my body to communicate something, all those things have changed at the college level. Okay, so
So
they made me look
what
at
made you
life.
choose physiotherapy?
Well, my dad was very ambitious, so he wanted me to join MBBS, and then like if that one doesn't work, okay, BDS, pharmacy, and everything, and then nothing worked. I was a below average student, I would say. So he literally was trying his best, but he was working in the Directorate of Medical Education, so he was like desperate to get me in somehow. And
Wow.
eventually he said, okay, now at least physiotherapy, go in. Okay. So once came in, there was no looking back.
You
So
liked
College
it
of
immediately.
yeah. College of Physiotherapy, KK Nagar, 83, I joined in. And after that, everybody was so supportive from that environment, and they brought me up. The confidence which I have with work and everything, they have a huge say in it. I have developed it over a period of time, but the initial things, we had one particular gentleman by name A.G. Dandapani. Most of my exercises, the way I look at things, he is there. So still, I tell several people that he is there. Okay.
Wow.
And there were several other names, Mary Chidambaram, for example. So there are several names, but this man made a huge impact when it came to exercises. And after that, I was so fortunate to have a government employment also. I worked at Children's Hospital Lake More for 7 years.
Wow.
I had private practices, one in Tamaram, one in Pallavaram, at the same time, 97 to, sorry, 87 to 2094, 87 to 94, 7 years.
Wow.
And then the opportunity to go to the US came in. So I dropped everything down. Here's my opportunity. I want to go earn some money, come back and do something for India.
Yeah.
So I went there with a 5 year plan, but didn't have enough money to come back. So I stayed there for another 4 years, made enough money. And then 2003, I came here, and Pain and Stroke Rehab Center is
What
there
was
since.
the opportunity to go to the US, sir?
At that point of time, there were too many vacancies in physiotherapy over in the US, and not many people were educationally qualified over there. So they gave me too many options. I was able to get a H1 visa before I even left the country here.
It's a different time.
And I was able to get a green card within 16 months. I
But
was offered
what?
a citizenship also by the third year, but I did not take it. That's a different story
Where
altogether.
was all this? Which institution or college was this?
No, I did not go for education. I went to work
No, yeah, which
straight.
institution was it where you worked?
I worked primarily at a center called the Rehabilitation Hospital of India.
Huh?
I started with a organization which is a contract company which appointed me first. And once I worked with them for 1.5 years, they allowed me to go anywhere to join. So I moved to rehab hospital.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
So that
That was opportunity.
what an opportunity. So when wait, I'm so sorry to ask you so many questions, but when you first went to the US, it was to the Rehabilitation Organization of India?
Rehabilitation Hospital of Indiana. Indiana is a
Indiana.
state.
Ah, okay, now it
Yeah.
makes more sense.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you
So,
were there. Oh, okay, okay, got it. Okay, nice.
and at Rehabilitation Hospital of Indiana, I worked at the stroke unit. So
Okay.
primarily my job was into strokes,
Okay.
neurological rehabilitation in a way. So there was a brain injury unit, a spinal cord injury unit, and a subacute rehab center, apart from the stroke unit. So I was heading the stroke unit.
Wow. For how long was this?
This was a good 7 years.
My God. Still Indiana?
Primary time. What?
Was this again in Indiana or someplace else?
Yeah, it is located only in one place, Indianapolis.
It was there. Oh, wow. 7 years you did stroke
Yes. The
rehabilitation.
first years I worked for that primary company which took me in, that was
Correct.
contract labor where you work 2 months here, 3 months there. So I had enough opportunity to test several waters. And then when I landed at Rehab Hospital of Indiana, I decided, oh, this is my kind of place, the rehab center which I had in mind. So I got in and then I stayed back.
Wow, I like this. Okay, I have to ask you a couple of questions before you proceed further in your journey. What was the biggest difference I mean, those days, that too, like so long back, in the kind of stroke rehab, if you saw any in India before you went, to what you witnessed there?
Basically, India gave me a lot more in terms of rehabilitation abilities, but it did not give me structure. Once I went into the United States, I realized like, oh, இதுக்கு தான் நான் இதை செஞ்சு கொண்டு இருக்கிறேனா அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி அந்த awareness struck me. Okay, like how to classify something, how to look at it, break it into parts, and then make it a simpler task to achieve, and then win the overall picture. Those kind of things was given by the United States. And then they offered me several type of educational opportunities also while working. Continuing education is part of their system. So what they do is, if you have to work here, since you are working for 2.5 years, I will let you go do a continuing education program. We'll pay you for the up and down journey and then the costs and everything. So all I have to do is come back and then serve them for another year. I was like,
Wow.
oh, okay, Karumbutina Kulia. Oh, fine.
Correct.
So I did two of those, and that gave me NDT certification. So that was making me even better. So how I was doing was even more fine-tuned. That's all. The basics were still good in India,
Correct.
but the fine-tuning better. It became better. But once somewhere around 97, the awareness of neurological rehabilitation became much, much wider, where the neurological researches were much, much more. And then the rehabilitation's involvement and how much physiotherapy can do has changed. Changed meaning how we look at things has now become much, much different. Earlier, we were thinking like, okay, if I'm able to bend my arm, stretch my leg, and then I'll be able to walk. No. Now we are thinking like, if a person is not able to walk, is there a psychosocial issue? Is there a environment issue? Is there a body issue? Or is he just scared? Okay. So many factors could be there. So
Mm.
it looks at a wholesome picture. Okay.
Ah,
In the middle of the time, WHO came up with something called ICF, International Classification of Functioning. Before that, it was international classification of diagnosis, which was more medically oriented. So they'll say Parkinson's disease, they'll say stroke, and that is for that what physiotherapy can do. Now the system is changing. The client is not able to do certain function. At the background, he has Parkinson's disease. What can we look at? So now the way we look at things is evolving. Now this is a newer way of looking at things. And then, so now as physiotherapists, we don't have to go by a medical diagnosis only. Medical diagnosis is needed,
Yeah.
but that is not the only thing which we live upon. Okay. We have to look at it from the environment context, from the psychosocial context, anxieties, things like that, what all things the person is going through and put it as a wholesome thing and then make it work. So
Wow.
after coming back, I am still keeping up with the education, whatever research is going on over there. So whatever we are doing at Pain and Stroke is current evidence. Whatever has come up in 2024, we are already applying. I'm working on something which is come in 2025. We have a meeting on Monday
Okay.
on how compassion is so important.
Yeah.
Okay, WHO released a thing in February. So we are trying to educate our employees on that one. So we are trying to keep ourselves up to date with everything. That is
Oh,
how
oh,
this
interesting.
structure
Interesting.
US has given me. Because in India, research was not that much of importance at that point of time.
Right.
But now we are trying to adapt whatever research they do and then integrate it today itself in India.
Mm,
So those
fair
are
enough.
much more.
Tell me one thing. So you were there for 7 years in the US for 7 years,
Total of 9.
total of
Two
9,
years at the contract company and 7 years
7 years.
with
Wow.
rehab hospital.
So 7 solid years of stroke rehab experience.
Yes, yes.
And then what was the drive to come back to India and not continue in the US?
Before going itself,
Yeah,
the
I know
goal
it's
was to come back. But at one point of time, I had enough amount of money to buy a home, and I thought like, okay, I had citizenship for my
yeah,
children.
yeah.
Somebody told me like, don't go right away with H1 visa. If your children want to come back, they will not be able to come back. So I made them all citizens, and then I came back. So when my kids wanted to go back, I let them go. Now they are all in the US. I'm here,
So
happily
you were
serving what I
very
want.
clear from the beginning you wanted to come back. So there was no
Yes, yes.
choice of wanting to live
No
in the
looking
US
back,
or
no
to
looking
do.
back. I had a lot of struggle after I came here because earning in rupees and trying to spend in dollars for my kids' education was not working.
I know, I know. So what year did you come back?
2003.
Oh, 2003. Oh, you came back right about the time I went to the US. I went to US in
Oh,
2004. Okay. You
okay,
know, there's
okay.
sometimes you just look at life, people who you meet, people. I mean, I'll talk more about how Mr. Ravi has been very impactful in my life later on because now it's all about you for now. So wow. So you came back in 2003 and you immediately started pain and stroke in
Yes,
Srinagar.
yes, yes,
Is it
yes.
the first one you
We because we made all our plans on how we are going to do it. Only thing is finding the place and then investing the money, getting the
started?
equipments in. That took us 2 months' time. We got it all started.
Did you have any partner or was it just you?
Yes, this pain and stroke pain was managed by my partner, and stroke
So,
rehabilitation I
oh,
did.
so you had a partner. Okay,
I
that
had a
makes sense.
partner.
So I still think 2003, 4 is also very early in terms
Yes.
of awareness in Chennai. Uh, were people finding like able to find you? Because I think even internet wasn't so big then. Like it's not like now where you just look up who is doing stroke rehab and then you'll know,
Uh-huh.
right? It's not.
Mhm.
So how are people finding you? How are you able to attract clientele?
Good one, good one, good question. Earlier, we found it very difficult. June 12th, we started, and then like nobody was at our door. We were trying small advertisements. We are not going anywhere. And then at one point of time, somebody did a big favor. They organized a press meet at our clinic and
Oh,
managed to bring all the press people to the center. Okay. And I don't know, it was an organization. We paid them a big chunk of money, but it was well worth it. Okay.
oh wow.
Once they put it on the newspaper that such people are here, there was a big load we were not able to handle at that point of time. And then we had to work hard to keep that momentum and then maintain it from there.
No,
Then from
no,
there
no.
on,
Tell
there
me,
was no
no, no.
looking.
What was this press meet about? To say that there is a
To
stroke
say
center.
that we are here and we are here from after 9 years of experience in the US. My
Wow.
partner and I had similar type of experience. He was in a different field. I was in a different field. That's all. So we had that press meet. It came in the newspapers. It was like 6 or 7 of them carried it. And after that, there was a big chunk. And then we were able to float up from there. That was easy.
Press meet is a great idea. I think I'm
Hmm.
trying to see.
But they don't do such press meets anymore. So it is very tricky. It is becoming a very expensive also to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you should just individually reach out and spread the word, and
True,
it all
true, true,
costs
true.
money. And then you
But
started getting
to
people, and
give
then
a
word of
jump start, that was a good one.
okay. So the idea was very clear that you would have your own space. You didn't want to work with Apollos or bigger
Mhm.
hospitals or Velur, or
Nope.
that was not something you
Uh-huh.
wanted to do. Okay.
We wanted to be the head of the lion rather than the tail of a big elephant.
ஆமா. Correct தான். And I think, maybe there might have been one or two, but I think you were one of the earlier ones in Chennai, if not the only one in Chennai, to start stroke rehab. Private, nobody was doing it. Was there any?
Nobody was there. Nobody was
He
there
was there.
because rehab is a expensive proposition.
Yeah.
Because to run an organization like this one, the manpower needed for rehabilitation is much high, while the client will not be able to do support such amount of volume of money. So what I tried to do was like, okay, can we have a bridge between the hospital and the home in
Yeah.
between? So an outpatient center and a home visit program. At that point of time, nobody was there to compete.
Nobody was
But
doing
now
it.
there are so many organizations which
Are
are
there?
coming up.
I want to talk
So
about it.
it
Are
is
there
becoming
really?
a becoming a bigger challenge. Yes, we have Jericare, we have Hamsa Rehab, and we have one more. I can't think of. It's a I can think of it, the name. Okay. They also do home health care. So
I don't know, Mr. Ravi. I don't know. There are some that have come for sure, but I don't know in terms of quality, in terms of the service they
there is a
offer.
big difference. Yes,
There is a
we have
huge
set our standards
cost.
way too high.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk a little bit more on stroke rehab and your work. Okay, before going into any technical, let's just talk about. So when you came here, one is of course getting clientele. The other is getting quality physiotherapists to work with you. So in the
Mhm.
last, what now it has been, what, 20 years? No,
22
25.
years.
Yeah, since you have set shop literally, if you have to name the top three challenges in running a stroke rehab, center, what would you say they are?
Getting into the neurologist's mind to make them understand that I do a better job than any other physiotherapist is the biggest. Still, 22 years later, I still have the same problem because they don't even let you talk and then listen to you at all.
Yeah. Neurologist.
And well, any doctor for that matter.
Yeah.
So you cannot go to them and then explain what I can do differently. So
Yeah.
they have their own mindset, and it has become corporatized, like where they try to hire a few physiotherapists, pay them peanuts, and then get the maximum work extracted.
Uh,
So that makes more business sense for them. So they don't think in terms of what the client would benefit from. So the next thing is culture.
ah,
India is way too different because it is, let's say somebody is sick, immediately the whole family wants to go and then help him in such a way so he does not do anything. And ஐயோ எங்கப்பா உடம்பு சரியில்லை, take care of him. Oh, oh. So they don't allow the person to become independent. Okay.
yeah.
So it becomes a service, and then at one point of time, even the clients themselves, they will be like, hey, என்ன நீ உடம்பு சரியில்லை படுத்துட்டு இருக்கேன்னு தெரியுது இல்ல, தூக்கி விட. So they become institutionalized. So they don't think of becoming independent at all. That's why you don't see many people in wheelchairs on the markets or
Right.
like you will not be seeing them in public spaces at all. You'll be seeing them at hospitals, rehab centers. Yes, they
Yeah.
want to become 100% normal. They don't want to live with the problem. Okay,
Correct. Correct.
especially with Parkinson's and strokes. Okay, there are going to be residual deficits. Acceptance, big issue in India.
Okay. Okay. So working or client side, medical side, what is the other challenge? One more.
Employing physiotherapists. Okay, the work culture.
Culture everywhere, culture of the medical profession, culture of the employees, culture of the patients, elame challenge, culture a challenge.
Exactly. Because if I go to colleges and then like find good heads, make them come here and then work. The good ones do an exceptional job and then they find better placements or go abroad, those kind of things. They are very much focused and then they win. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to support them.
Yeah.
So we have had several people who went to the United States, Australia, and everything, Canada,
Mm.
everywhere we have people. But keeping them, who make them work here, those who are working here, we cannot rely on them for so many reasons. So they won't be here on time. They are okay. They won't stick to kind of formulas. If you say client is important, they will do their own thing. And then there are some times where people have siphoned off money also.
Oh my goodness, really? Are you serious? Oh God, that's like the worst case, basic level
And
problem.
so now, if I pick 100 physiotherapists, I will be able to find two or three good ones. But there are good ones also. I should not
Very
say
good
that
ones.
there
Yeah,
isn't
very
any.
good ones.
There are really, really good
Good
ones.
ones.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So only with the good ones I have survived this far. Else I would have been gone long time ago.
Okay, few more questions, Mr. Ravi. So good to
Uh,
know this. On this note, what is the longest an employee has been with you?
we have one person who has been with us for 13, 14 years almost.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. They must have some strong family reason to be in Chennai, Nenikiran.
And not only that, they come. I don't work. They make them bonded to the clinic. Okay, this guy worked with the clinic for some time, and then he wanted to practice outside only. So he still does home visits for me. He does not work inside the building.
Inside the clinic.
So he is
Oh,
still in touch with me, and I can reliably give work to him. And then like he does things better. My dad is being treated by him, so we
okay.
have a great relationship. He's more of a family now.
Ah, okay.
Ah,
Now I want to speak a little bit about in this 20 years, 2022 years, some changes in the landscape in the city itself, sir. Just to give everybody a little bit of more details on Mr. Ravi. So when I think I contacted him, it must have been 2011. Uh,
uh-huh.
2011, I reached out. I mean, I saw pain and stroke online, and I spoke to you, and then it was a no-brainer. Once I spoke to you, I knew you were the right person for my father. I have seen a lot of changes in the last 15 years, even somebody who is not in the medical profession. So, my couple of questions in the last 2 decades in Chennai, when we came, I somehow found Chennai to be having a very good ecosystem for medical care, be it doctors, be it hospitals. It was good in to a by and large extent. Unfortunately, I don't feel the same way now. Uh, do you find, uh, okay, in few areas, right? In the kind of employees you're attracting, has there been a difference over the years? Right? Over the years, is there a quality difference? Is there a quantity difference? And do you find working with hospitals or the hospital or the medical setup itself slightly changing over the years? Do you see
I
anything?
wouldn't, I wouldn't say it is slightly changing. It is changing big time.
Yeah, tell me how.
Right. Earlier in 2003, there was a reluctance to allow me to talk. Yes.
Mm.
Okay. That is still there. But the amount of commercialization of medical service was much, much comparatively lesser.
Yes, sir.
And now it is very much commercialized. So if you see many a times, even today, there was one client who came to me with an X-ray and an MRI, which barely had any big problem. All he had to do was like some strengthening, flexibility work, and then give him assurance that he did not have a problem. That's all. But the doctors who had seen him had made all these investigations and then said, oh, this is so bad, you have to get a surgery done. While I don't see any kind of indication to have a surgery done. Okay. So now they try all kinds of scare or making a person very insecure and then go in for a surgery. Okay. After surgery, also, the problem does not get resolved because the problem is not a surgically solvable problem. It could be a simple exercise problem. Right?
Mm.
So it is becomes so commercial. So when I send somebody to an MRI, I get money. Okay, when I send somebody to a lab, I get money. So it is all money oriented. Now they spend so much on getting into a college, so they want return on investment. That's how the system has changed. From 2003, at 2003, I heard that a person to get into MBBS paid 25 lakhs.
Yeah.
Today, it is a crore. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
accordingly, they are going to look for return on investment. Okay.
uh,
PG education, everything is becoming so expensive. So it is making it so commercial. இவ்வளவு ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணிட்டு நான் உனக்கு சர்வீஸ் பண்றதுக்காக வந்திருக்கேன். I have to make my money backன்ற அந்த பாயிண்ட்டுக்கு
நல்ல கமர்ஷியலாவே இருக்கு.
fully commercial மாறிடுச்சு. அது that has made a big difference. Yes.
Yeah.
And I would say some of our physiotherapists also are joining the bandwagon nowadays. Okay, trying to scare people. So it is
ஏன்னா நீங்க ஒரு
also happening.
ஜெனரேஷனே ஆயிருது மிஸ்டர் ரவி. 20 years almost becomes a generation, 20, 25 years, you know. In the kind of people you're attracting, there is almost a generational shift, you know.
And that's why I find it difficult nowadays to find the right people and then make them stay with me.
Illa, it is difficult. Is it difficult now more than before?
Yes, it is difficult now. I would say difficult ங்கிறத விட it is challenging to find the right head. அப்படிதான் சொல்லணும் அது.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are good people out there. I'm not denying that at all.
There are very good people.
Out of 100, you will see a very few, 5 or 6 of them. That's all.
Yeah. And I have to plug in here one more on Parivarthan. So we found one such from Mr. Ravi. I'm going from the latest to I'll go old in my sharing of my stories about Mr. Ravi. So Parivarthan wanted to start a center where we would give on an appointment basis regular physiotherapy on weekdays. And we were having such a hard time sourcing a physiotherapist. And then finally, Mr. Ravi came up with the idea on his own and he said, why don't I give you our physiotherapist? And then you work with them at your center and we can do like a rotation. And then, you know, I can take back the therapist, give you another therapist. So that way we can oversee the therapist. You don't have to worry about if the therapist is good or not. Let's see how it works out. This was 1 year back. He gave us one therapist who is so good. She's been with us for 1 year. And now I don't think we're going to let her go. For whatever conversations we've had about changing AVO, now I've told Raji that this is it. Now this is Parivarthan is your job. So you just do this update. So good quality. Like we found her and through her we found another very good therapist, Kavi Bharati, very young. You know, these kids are in their 20s, but very committed. Good resources. So there are very good resources. And I have to also mention, we found another good physiotherapist, Deepa Nusolito from you. She was also exceptionally good. Yeah, she used to also manage your center once and she was doing a PhD. So, Englora research edo pannanga. She was phenomenal. So there are a lot of good therapists.
Yes.
Out there, right? So tell me one thing, Mr. Ravi. Now, you have a center in T Nagar. You have a center in Tambaram. Where else?
And Anna Nagar.
Anna Nagar. Okay. In terms of your own vision for pain and stroke, where would you like to see it go in the next few years?
Oh, good question. Thank you. Okay. Now, earlier I was thinking that I should be the best in the community and I was striving for that. And then I realized like it is not about me anymore. The community has to be benefited. One person cannot do this and I have to have many people around who are there. There should be too many Ravis, not just one. Okay? And somebody drove that into my head. Okay? So that is why the idea of having branches and then having a branch head who runs the show, I don't have to be there all the time kind of concept is what we are doing right now. And eventually we are now thinking of making it into a private limited company where it will have several branches and it will be all systematic. And it should not be Ravi Ranganathan's place anymore. It should be pain and stroke. That is it. Okay. Cool. And it should be an organization and it should have the core values. It should not lose out along with the competition saying that, oh, I have to make money. The ethical values, we have to have a structure. This is how we do it. Even if it is less, we will do the right way.
Yeah.
And that is something I want to strive and I want to have more smaller centers, satellite centers everywhere. And right now we are thinking of moving over to tier 2 cities. So that is what we are trying to do now.
That's a great idea.
So because when we went to Tambaram, we realized that Tambaram had much more potential than what T Nagar does. So the more we move away, we are getting more confident. So yes, it is a learning. Several things we are learning in this process.
Yeah.
And maybe private limited company would make us even better. So hopefully we will have a system which runs at several places. Even when after Ravi is gone, pain
That
and
is
stroke
the
should
goal.
survive. That is
Adana
what I
goal.
want to do.
Adana goal. Tell me one thing. Are there any models like this where a physio center is like a private limited company? இந்த மாதிரி மாடல் இருக்கா ஏதாச்சும்?
Private limited company இன்னும் பண்ணல யாரும். ஏன்
Ah,
என்று
it's
தெரியவில்லை.
exciting.
அதுதான் இப்ப I'm trying to explore. Why did you not do? ஏன்னா அதுல ஏதோ ஒரு விஷயம் இருக்குதுன்றது மட்டும் எனக்கு தெரியுது. ஆனா அத மத்தவங்க ஏன் அதை எடுத்து செய்யவில்லை தெரியல.
இல்ல.
அது maybe there might be some glitches which they faced. I have to discuss more and then get their input to really அது அதுக்காக விட்டுற போறது இல்லை. I have to find out what challenges I will face and then
Correct.
figure out on how to manage it.
Correct.
That's all.
Correct. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit more about evolving landscape of physiotherapists itself in Chennai.
Hmm.
So again, to give a little bit of a background, நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி ஒரு 15 years back, we found you online. In fact, even now, if I look for stroke rehab, நீங்க தான் வரீங்க. Almost on the top. பெருசா வேற இல்ல in terms of stroke அப்படின்னு. There are a lot of other physiotherapists, but even in front of my eyes, I've seen so many centers crop up. A lot of them for pain management. A lot. Like Anna Nagar Madri or neighborhood. I mean, people who know Chennai, who know, the landscape. Places like Anna Nagar or Adyar, like dime a dozen. There are physiotherapy centers almost every other street. So there is a growth of it, right? Do you still find for pain and for stroke, you are only one of the few? Have you faced any particular challenges with your other physiotherapists, like some other? So what I'm trying to ask is, are their practices very different from yours, that you would wonder, oh my God, is this even a business practice? How come they're doing things like this? Do you see some evolution like that?
There are different business strategies people use. Okay. I don't know. I always look at people like, okay, if they are not able to go to the restroom by themselves, they should be able to do that first. Okay. They want to be able to take care of themselves and not be dependent on their spouses or their children. Okay. And the one big thing which people say to me is like, oh, bathroom போகும்போது எவனா ஒருத்தன் என் பக்கத்துல இருந்து help பண்றது, I don't want that anymore. Okay, I don't want to stand naked in front of him, which is much important for a human being. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is what I want to do, and that is why I stay on this particular part. While there are people who will say, yeah, I'll make you walk, for even for someone who they know that they will never walk in their lifetime anymore. But they still say, I'll make you walk, I'll give you robotics, I'll give you this, and then I'll make you use the equipment and then walk, which is truly unethical from my perspective. But what their argument was, okay, you are not able to make him walk functionally, at least therapeutica, let them walk. It gives them the satisfaction that they are walking. Why don't you do that? Okay. So when you look at it from that perspective, maybe yes. Okay. And they pay a lot of money and then they get that done. Will that make them go to the nearby grocery store or no, go to the bathroom and then sit down? No.
Oh.
But this is where culture comes in. Okay. So do you really want to go to the bathroom first, or do you want to just walk and show off that I can walk and not be able to walk in the community?
Correct.
So that is where there are different ways people work. Okay. There are some people who don't do physiotherapy at all. They do some everyday or IFT modality or shortwave modality.
Correct.
But that is a very outdated style, and there are people who still just follow it.
Follow that. Correct. How is the community of physiotherapists itself in Chennai? Like, is there like a camaraderie? Is there an exchange of information? Is there a forum where all of you meet? How is the situation?
It is getting better, I would say, but it is not very cohesive, because everybody wants to compete with each other and then drop down. Okay. இப்போ நீ 1000 ரூபாய்க்கு வாங்குறியா, நான் வந்து 700 ரூபாய்க்கு வாங்குறேன், என்கிட்ட வந்துடு அப்படி சொல்ற அதுதான். You are just competing with each other and reducing yourself. If you want to reduce yourself, then you reduce something on quality also. So it keeps on going downward. And the part illama, there are people who like exchange ideas. There are some people who really share all that they know.
Oh, they
and
do.
there are some people who don't share anything at all. Okay. இன்டர்ன்ஷிப்புக்கு போற பசங்களே கூட சொல்லுவாங்க, நீ இவ்வளவு தூரம் சொல்லி கொடுத்துற, நான் கத்துட்டு போய் உன் எதிர்க்கு கிளினிக் வச்சா என்ன பண்ணுவேன் அப்படின்னு கேட்பான். தப்பே கிடையாது. நான் என்ன பண்ணுவேன், உன்னால என்ன செய்ய முடியும், கேன் ஐ டூ பெட்டர் தேன் யூ, அப்படிதான் நான் பார்ப்பேன். ஸோ ஐ டேக்
Correct,
இட் அஸ் அ சேலஞ்ச்
correct, correct,
and I move on. That's all. Okay,
correct.
I cannot say I will be the only person forever. If the thing will change, I will get older, I'll be out of the scene. You have to come up. Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the mentality some people kill, like very few people have. So only with that things are going. Camaraderie is like very very low ன்னு சொல்லிக்கலாம்.
Mm.
ஒருத்தரோட ஒருத்தர் அது அந்த காம்படிஷன் வந்துட்டு அது அது ஹெல்த்தி காம்படிஷனா இல்லைன்னு சொல்லலாம்.
Correct, correct, correct. Tell me one thing, also one more thing. Have you seen Chennai vis-a-vis other cities like Bangalore, or even smaller towns like Coimbatore? அங்க பிசியோதெரபிஸ்டோ, அங்க ஒரு மெடிக்கல் ஈகோசிஸ்டமோ, உங்களுக்கு ஏதாச்சும் இங்க விட அங்க பெட்டரா இருக்கு அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாச்சும் தோணுதா உங்களுக்கு?
பெங்களூர்
It's good, no? I find
பெங்களூர்
it.
வந்து பிசியோதெரபிஸ்ட் பர்டிகுலரா வந்துட்டு பெங்களூர் பிசியோதெரபிஸ்ட் நெட்வொர்க்னு ஒன்று இருக்கு. They
Ah,
conduct conferences every year and then they do all kinds of meetings every now and then. அந்த எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் ஆஃப் ஐடியாஸ் நிறைய பண்ணுவாங்க. இங்க எல்லாமே கமர்ஷியலா பண்றாங்க, அங்க வந்துட்டு அதை ஒரு சர்வீஸாவே பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. அதுல
really?
வந்துட்டு யூ டோன்ட் மேக் மணி அவுட் ஆஃப் இட். They just do
Ah,
it ongoing. We tried something like that here, but it was not working out because people come in and then அதுல அவங்களுக்கு என்ன இருக்குன்னு தான் பார்த்தாங்களே தவிர வந்து டேய் அது காமன் இதுவா பார்ப்போம் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா அது பாக்குறதுக்கு நம்ம ஊர்ல கம்மி.
ah.
பெங்களூர் இட்ஸ் ஒர்க்கிங் வெரி வெல்.
When I find Bangalore, Hyderabad, Coimbatore, places like this, even medically doing very well, especially for geriatric care,
எஸ்.
long-term rehabilitation, I find their ecosystem very good.
That's what somebody suggested. The one thing like ஸ்ட்ரோக்குக்கு செய்யறதுக்கு அங்க ஆட்கள் குறைவா தான் இருக்கிறாங்க.
அங்க கூட
Why
நீங்க
don't you go there அப்படின்னாங்க. Okay, I have
why
to look
didn't you
into that.
ever think of some other bigger city and not just Chennai? I think there is more rooted culturally for you here.
இப்பதான் வந்து அதுக்கு என்னால முடியுங்கிற அந்த மைண்ட் செட்டுக்கு வந்திருக்கேன் நானு. So definitely in the with coming times, I am trying to mold my employees also in that framework. So hopefully we'll get that done down the line sometime.
Yeah, that will be nice. I like this that even after like 2 decades, you still have that ambition and drive to do so much more. ஒரு மாதிரி cynical and senile ஆகாம
அந்த மாதிரி விட்டுறது தேவைன்னு இல்லை நானு.
That's nice. So I'll share for people who are watching this little bit more about Mr. Ravi. So நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி எங்க அப்பாவுக்கு stroke ஆயிருந்தது, brain hemorrhage, and then he was bedridden for the rest of his life for 4.5 years after brain hemorrhage. அதுல நாங்க வீட்டுக்கு வந்த உடனேமே immediately after, I mean, we were in Apollo for 6 months, for the love of God. But since we came until he passed away, I think it was only from pain and stroke we had a physiotherapist coming in. And there was only one therapist who was there with us for almost 2 to 3 years. ஒரே therapist இத்தனைக்கும். He was very good. Then one more gentleman started coming, I think, and then Appa passed away eventually. So as long as I've known Mr. Ravi, during one of my most intense phases, and I always like to bring this up also. So what would happen is the therapist will come home every day, and Mr. Ravi will come home, I think maybe once in 2-3 months, to review the practice, to see how it is going and what else can be done. Those days I was in a very different zone of, anxiety and stress. So I would try to seek out other external resources. So we had found some doctor in New York who works with music and dance. And I had spoken to her and said, this is where my father is. What else we are following this protocol for physiotherapy. Is there anything else we can do? And she had given some ideas. And it was very, I still remember, it was very surprising for me. So I had written down my book about all the ideas she had given. And there was time for Mr. Ravi to come home to do the review for Appa. He was actually suggesting all those things that are actually taken. He didn't know that. So whatever she had said, okay, if he's at this level, the next step would be so and so. When he came to my house, he was telling the next steps would be so and so, the same ones. So, you kind of feel reassured that you have the right person with you at times like that. And also, Mr. Ravi was also very open to discussion. Like, if I put you in touch with the doctor in New York, you were like, yeah, I would like to see what she has to say. Let's have a call. So, very open in terms of sharing, in terms of learning, in terms of just not saying, okay, I am your therapist. I mean, why should I talk to somebody else? No egoistical problems there. So, I found it very refreshing. So, it was very easy for me to work with. And even now, I don't think there are setups where you'll have a therapist coming home every day and the senior therapist will come to review. And that's unheard of in India. It just doesn't happen. So we just got very lucky with you. And then one of Mr. Ravi, I don't know how he came to know Rama. So Rama contacted Mr. Ravi, I don't know, through some common friends. So that time my father was still alive, and Rama was looking to run as a caregiver support group. And then she was like, how do I do? Who do I talk to? And things like that. So Mr. Ravi was like, oh, Sudha is there. She's also a little bit in some zone. Why don't you both connect and talk? And that, everything turned out to be so life-changing for me. Meeting you, having you as a physiotherapist for my father, then you introducing me to Tama was like one of the biggest game changers for me. I didn't even know there was a term as caregiver support group. இதெல்லாம் எனக்கு ஒண்ணுமே தெரியாது. My background has been economics and nothing to do with public health, nothing. And then I learned from Rama literally how to organize a meeting. What does it entail? I mean, seeing somebody as good as her in action was, what else can one ask for? And then because of her, I met somebody with Parkinsons, and the whole Parivarthan happened after that. So, it's like in a good way, dynamo effect, one thing leading to the other. So I have lots to be grateful for. And another incident I want to say is, this is the time when Mr. Ravi would come for review, right? You would come to my house and then you would talk about Appa, blah, blah. So one day you just sat me down and said, Sudha, I want to have a word with you. I told you this. And then you said, look, I like that you're taking care of your father so much. And I didn't have a job those days. My job was to take care of my father. You said, look, the kind of stroke he's had, the kind of rehab he has, it'll be very difficult for him to be independent or have a very different life from what he's having right now. So why are you so immersed in it and you have no life? Then you said, just start thinking of something for yourself, right? Go get a job, go do something else. Um, you know, think of something else beyond just taking care of your father. See, that time you're so thick-headed that your advice just didn't go in. See, I was still in a very non-acceptance, my father will be okay mode, right? So while you were saying so much sense, it just didn't make any sense to me. I was like, but then later it only makes sense. If a Parivartana, that's all we tell members or caregivers, right? So, which physiotherapist would take the effort to recognize something in a family and then point that out? That's not at all a job of a physiotherapist, technically. So, just to have somebody like that in your life, and then now that has become like almost our mantra how caregivers have to take care of themselves. What are you doing for your mental health? Why are you getting sucked into their care? Things like that have become like what I've learned from you, from Rama. It has become like what we tell members all the time. So, I mean, there are so many ways I'm so thankful to you. And over the years in Parivarthan, if I've asked, if of course, you've given us one of the best physiotherapists, and through that, another therapist. But even otherwise, videos பண்ணி கொடுங்கன்னா, you'll do videos. Talk வந்து கொடுங்க, demo கொடுங்கன்னா, you'll do a demo for us. Can we do short snippets of it? So always up for anything new, to try any idea. So and then if we are doing some other program, you will come and say, I might learn something from it, so I'll just come. So this spirit that I mean, I've also invited other physiotherapists. Not everybody comes. Not everybody is collaborative, right? Of course, I've known you the longest. I have the most, precious relationship with you. So just the journey itself. So we thought we should learn about, your side of the story. I want to ask something a little bit more delicate before we end. For somebody who is going to start out new, உங்க மாதிரி யாரோ வராங்கன்னு வெச்சுக்கோங்க இப்போ US ல இருந்து, financially is it viable uh, to have their own like a stroke center, rehab center?
Okay. Financially viable is all up to you, what you want to do. So either you can run a show with peanuts, you can run a show with like crores. Okay. How you want to do, who you want to cater, how much you want to generate out of it. நான் எப்படி அதை பண்ணியிருக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, எனக்கு a little amount of money which is giving me a life which is fairly good quality அப்படின்னு சொன்னா I am okay அப்படின்னு. யூஎஸ்ல இருக்கிற அதே லைஃப் எனக்கு இங்க வேணும், I'll be able to make a lot of money அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, it is not going to be easy. I am not saying it's not likely to happen. It is going to be a lot of work and you will have to go through a lot of frustrations. நம்ம ஊர்ல ஒரு லைசன்ஸ் வாங்கணும்னா அது கஷ்டம், அந்த லைசன்ஸை தக்க வச்சு அதை ரினியூ பண்ணணும்னா அது கஷ்டம். இது எலக்ட்ரிசிட்டி போர்டுக்காரங்கிட்ட கனெக்ஷன் ஒரு ஃபேஸ் ஒன்று போயிடுச்சு, எனக்கு அதை ரீப்ளேஸ் பண்றதுக்கு 6 மாசமா அலைஞ்சிட்டு இருக்கேன். சோ இந்த எல்லா கஷ்டங்களும் இருக்கும். இதையெல்லாம் தாண்டி வருவதற்கு யூ ஹேவ் டு பி வெரி 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 பேஷண்ட் அண்ட் at it. You have to continuously work at it. அந்த மென்டாலிட்டி வச்சுட்டோம் நாம முடியும் அப்படின்னு நினைச்சிட்டோம்னு சொன்னா கண்டிப்பா சாத்தியம். சாத்தியம் இல்லைன்னு கிடையாது.
Yeah.
சேலஞ்சஸ் அநியாயத்துக்கு அதிகம்.
Illa,
எல்லா இடத்துலயும் அதிகம். எல்லா இடத்துலயும் அதிகம்.
in all ways possible, but
ஆனா
also
டூவபிள்.
despite
டெஃபினெட்லி
that,
டூவபிள்.
it's doable. And for you personally, it has not been, it has been fulfilling in terms of coming back.
வெரி மச் ஸோ.
Very
வெரி
much
மச் ஸோ. நான் இப்ப
contributing.
திரும்பி பார்த்தா நான் வந்து என்னுடைய பாதையை ஐ ஹவ் செட் மை பேக் ஆன் ஃபயர் அண்ட் ஐ ஹவ் ட்ரெயின்ட் சோ மெனி பிசியோதெரபிஸ்ட் டு பிகம் பெட்டர் பிசியோதெரபிஸ்ட்.
Yeah.
அண்ட் இன்னைக்கு ஐ ஸ்டில் ஹேவ் அ ரெகக்னிஷன். எங்கன்னா யாருன்னா பார்த்தா சார் அன்னைக்கு நீங்க பண்ணீங்க, இன்னைக்கு என் பையன் நல்லா நடந்துட்டு இருக்கான். ஸோ தி
Yeah.
ஒன் பிக்கெஸ்ட் ஹையஸ்ட் பாயிண்ட் வாஸ்
Yeah.
I worked with someone who was a male client. Okay. இதுக்கு மேல ஒரு நடக்கவே மாட்டாருன்னு சொன்னாங்க. This man started walking and everything. எல்லாம் போயாச்சு. At one day, his wife calls me and then tells me, I have to tell you something really, really, really important. நான் உங்களை நேர்ல பார்க்க முடியுமா? I said, okay, fine. நேர்ல வந்தாங்க. She tells me, I had sex with my husband, which I never thought will happen. அப்படின்னு. A
Wow.
woman coming and telling me is the
Wow.
biggest thing. I was thinking, I was like, man,
Wow.
இதை விட வேற என்ன ஒரு சந்தோஷம் எனக்கு யாருன்னா கொடுக்க
Wow.
முடியும்? ஓகே, நான் அவங்களோட லைஃப வந்துட்டு ஒரு ஸ்டெப் அதிகமா இது நினைச்சே
Wow.
பார்க்க முடியாத ஒரு லெவல்ல நான் கொண்டு போய்
Wow.
கொடுத்துருக்கிறேன். அப்படி அதை வந்து ஒரு பொண்ணு என்கிட்ட சொல்றதுக்கு தயாரா இருந்தது
I
அப்படிங்கிறது
know,
வந்துட்டு
right?
எவ்வளவு தூரம் பாய்ச்சிருந்தா அவங்க சொல்லியிருப்பாங்க அப்படின்னு நினைச்சேன். this gives me so much satisfaction. போங்கடா, இதுக்கப்புறம் எவ்வளவு கஷ்டமா இருந்தாலும் பரவாயில்ல, பணம் கம்மியா இருந்தா கூட பரவாயில்ல, நான் செய்யறேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு பண்ணிட்டு.
Wow, that is so encouraging. Oh, that's really satisfying. Correct. Final question on stroke and rehab for you.
Yes.
Something that is also very close to my heart is stroke and rehab because of my father. Um, I would envision Chennai to have something like what Vellore has. ஏன்னா இப்போ கூட நீங்க ஒருத்தர் தான் சென்னையில கேட் பெல்ட் யூஸ் பண்றீங்க டு ஷிஃப்ட் பேஷண்ட். 15 years நீங்க ஒருத்தர் தான் பண்றீங்க அத. There is a belt through which you can shift patient to bed to cot chair. So Mr. Ravi demonstrated it to us how to use it for my father through a physiotherapist. That was so life changing for us, like on how to shift Appa. I mean, Appa's quality of life gets better. You're bedridden, but smaller things like this, less pain for them. Even now, I think you're the only therapist who uses a gait belt.
Very true.
என்னங்க 15 வருஷமா யாருக்கும் gait belt கூடவா தெரியாது? Oh my God. Do you have to go to the US to use it? And I have personally purchased a gait belts, given it to other caregivers, trained others, I've told others. So it's, my goodness. And still, we are the only few people talking about gait belts. So things like that. And see, when you came back from the US, I can imagine you thinking, okay, there should be this place which is in between a home and a hospital. I so get it because we didn't have that for Appa. And we came and saw your facility also. You had taken an apartment in T Nagar where patients could be admitted for some time. But logistically, it just didn't work out for us. But we also went and checked out Vellore lab. Even that logistically didn't work out for us. But they had a full-fledged unit way back in 2010, 2011, like where they can come stay with caregivers. There is like an inclusive therapy that happens at a completely different level. Still nothing like that at a scale that they do in Vellore here. What needs to happen for that to happen here?
Okay. It is, like I said, rehab is a labor-intensive thing and it is very expensive. So, அதை வந்து நம்ம பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா அதுக்கு வந்து கமர்ஷியலா பார்த்து செய்யறதுன்றது வேலைக்கே ஆகாது. நம்ம ஊர்ல இன்சூரன்ஸ் டஸ் நாட் பே எனி அமௌண்ட் ஃபார் ரீஹாபிலிட்டேஷன். ஸோ அதெல்லாம் இருக்கும் பட்சத்துல இதை நம்ம இமீடியட் ஃபியூச்சர்ல வரும் அப்படின்னு எதிர்பார்க்க கூட முடியாது. அப்படி பண்றதா இருந்தா யாருன்னா சர்வீஸ் ஆர்கனைசேஷன் who are willing to pay a lot of money and don't expect any returns, அந்த மாதிரி அதை இனிமேல் செய்வதற்கு யாருன்னா வருவாங்களா? இப்போ திருவண்ணாமலையில there was one person who started something for spinal cord injury. So அது வந்து பிரீத்தி. ஸோ அவங்களோட ஆர்கனைசேஷனுக்கு ஆள் வருவது கஷ்டமா இருக்குது. அது லாஜிஸ்டிக்ல நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி நீங்க மெட்ராஸ்ல இருக்கிற ஒரு ஆள் அங்க போக முடியல, அவங்களால அதை வந்துட்டு இங்க செய்ய முடியல நம்ம ஊர்ல. சோ இந்த மாதிரி விஷயங்கள் நம்ம ஊர்ல இருக்கிற சேலஞ்ச். எஸ், அது மாறுமா அடுத்த 10-15 வருஷத்துல தெரியல. சோ it will remain that way. கமர்ஷியலா வருவாங்க அவங்க, they will try to exploit the people that doing something. அதுதான் நடக்குது.
அதான் இப்ப நடக்குது சென்னையில. They'll ask like monthly 2 lakhs, 1 lakh. and then they'll provide therapy. நாங்க பரிவர்த்தல கொடுக்கிற therapies they give. And then they'll charge 1 lakh or 2 per month. And
True,
and
true.
with Parkinson's, there's only so much improvement. மாசம் 2 லட்சம்லாம் கொடுத்துட்டு இருக்க முடியாது.
வேலைக்கு
So I'm thinking, unless something is by a corporate hospital and they have a separate wing, it has to have a lot of blessings from private funders.
இப்போ அந்த whoever is organizing it should have that heart to do that for the last citizen in the community. அது பண்றதுக்கு நமக்கு இன்னும் ஆள் இல்லை. மேபி தேர் வில் பி சம்ஒன். அது வந்து நம்ம கண்ணுல படல, அவங்களுக்குன்னு ஒரு கஷ்டம் ஒண்ணு வந்தா மேபி தே வில் திங்க் லைக், ஓ இந்த மாதிரி இவன் கஷ்டப்படுறான், அதுக்கெல்லாம் நம்ம செய்யணும் அப்படின்னு நினைச்சாங்கன்னா செய்யலாம்.
இல்ல yeah okay எனக்கு I think I'm just selfishly asking you questions here. If there is a place like that, culturally I'm asking you, will family bring a person to stay there for some time?
There are so many people who are looking for places like that. So கண்டிப்பா வந்துட்டு வருவாங்க.
There is a market, you're saying.
அவங்களுக்கு ஃபினான்ஷியலா வந்துட்டு எல்லாத்தையும் சப்போர்ட் பண்ண முடியல, அவங்க ஃபேமிலியை விட்டுட்டு இங்க வந்து இருக்கிறதுக்கு முடியல. ஏன்னா அந்த ஜாயிண்ட் ஃபேமிலி சிஸ்டம் போயிடுச்சு. இப்ப நியூக்ளியர் ஃபேமிலி, பசங்கள்லாம் வேற ஊருக்கு போயிட்டாங்க. அதனால ஹஸ்பண்டும் ஒய்ஃப் மட்டும்தான் மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் த டைம் இருக்கிறாங்க. அவங்கள யாருன்னா ஒருத்தருக்கு பிரச்சனைன்னு சொன்னா தி அதர் பர்சன் இஸ் ஓல்ட், ஸோ தே ஆர் நாட் ஏபிள் டு பிசிக்கலி ஹெல்ப் தெம். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி சேலஞ்சஸ் நிறைய இருக்கு. So the help which is needed is higher, and the support system is very poor in terms of family as well as in terms of the therapies that are available. So adanaala yes, இதுல வீட்ல நம்ம வைத்தியம் பண்ணா கூட வந்துட்டு hiring someone who is reliable to give nursing careன்றதே கஷ்டமா இருக்குது. They become abusive. அந்த மாதிரி விஷயங்கள்லாம் வேற இருக்கு. So
don't even start me off attenders and nurses in Chennai. Oh my God, Mr. Ravi, it's beyond perfect. அதுல கூட பெங்களூர் பெட்டரா இருக்கு. ஐயோ எல்லாமே வெதர்ல இருந்து ஒரு
அந்த வொர்க் எதிக்ஸ்ல அங்கெல்லாம் நிறைய இடிக்கும்.
டிராபிக்க தவிர எல்லாம் அங்கதான் நல்லா இருக்கு போல இருக்கு. இப்போ நீங்களே வந்து இப்போ ஒரு உங்களோட பிசியோ யூனிட்ல எல்லாம் நடக்குதா, இல்ல நீங்க இந்த மாதிரி இன்பேஷண்டா வச்சு பாக்குறதுக்கு நிறைய டிமாண்ட் இருக்கா? அது எவ்வளவு பண்றீங்க as a share of both?
எனக்கு இப்போ இந்த கார்ப்பரேட் சேலஞ்சஸ்லாம் இன்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்ஸ்லாம் வர ஆரம்பிச்சதுக்கு அப்புறமா they market so much saying that, oh நாங்க இத பண்ணிடுவோம் அத பண்ணிடுவோம். அதனால we have seen a drop in the number of people who come to us. ஆனா யாரு அந்த எனக்கு பாத்ரூம் தான் போகணும் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறாங்களோ அவங்க வந்துட்டு தான் இருக்காங்க. அதை நம்பிதான் எங்களோட word of mouth. People who have experienced us here pull them all and then come over. இப்ப சுதாக்கு யாருன்னா ஒருத்தவங்களை தெரிஞ்சதுன்னா சுதா கண்டிப்பா என் பேரை தானே சொல்லுவாங்க. அந்த மாதிரி தான் அந்த word of mouth.
You do have people staying in with you, inpatient ஆவும்.
Yes. It is not you cannot call it inpatient. We have to say it a stay-in option. A 2-bedroom apartment is given where you can stay, you cook, you take care of yourself as if it is your own home. I provide therapy there. அது வந்து எனக்கு பக்கத்துல இருக்கிறதுனால I'll be able to give skilled rehabilitation. I have my own equipment there.
Equipment இருக்கு.
அந்த மாதிரி தான் அதை பண்ணிருக்கோம்.
Correct.
அதை நான் rehab center பண்ணணும்னு சொன்னா it will become expensive. They will not be able to afford.
They won't be able to afford, and it has to be subsidized.
Yes, subsidized. அதை subsidize பண்றதுக்கு யாரனா பெரிய ஆளுங்க
தேவைப்படும். ஆமா, அது whole structure போடணும். அதுக்கு
கண்டிப்பா அங்க யாரோ ஒருத்தவங்க இருக்காங்க. நாம வந்துட்டு செய்வோம் அப்படின்னு தெரிஞ்சதுன்னா அதை செய்ய வரதுக்கு ஆளுங்க இருப்பாங்க. நாம இன்னும் நான் அதை இன்னும் கண்டுபிடிக்கல, என்ன அவங்க கண்டுபிடிக்கல, ஏதோ ஒண்ணு வச்சுக்கலாம்.
Correct. We'll all collectively maybe do something in that sphere. Let's hope, God willing. Okay, finally, before we let you go, it was lovely, really nice way to chat for me with you on Saturday afternoon. What is your say if you're advising your therapists who are working with you, the young budding therapist, as somebody who's so seasoned, who has seen so much as a therapist, as a person, what advice will you give a young physiotherapist?
Constantly upgrade yourself. நாம கிளினிக்கலா இன்னைக்கு பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறது எனக்கு எல்லாம் தெரியும் என்னைக்கு நீங்க நினைக்கிறோமோ அன்னைக்கே வந்து யூ பிகம் ஸ்டேல். ஸோ கண்டினியூவஸ் எஜுகேஷன் வேணும். அதே மாதிரி அந்த கம்பேஷன், அவங்களோட ஃபீலிங்ஸ் என்ன அப்படிங்கிறத உணர்ற அந்த எபிலிட்டியை வந்துட்டு வளர்த்துக்கணும். இட் இஸ் a skill you learn. The more you understand their problems, then you will automatically be able to tell them what is the next right thing to do. சுதாவோட கஷ்டத்தை என்னால புரிஞ்சுக்க முடிஞ்சதுனாலதான் நான் வந்து சுதா நீ வந்துட்டு உன்னை மட்டும் பாத்துக்கோ, இது உங்க அப்பாவை மட்டும் பாத்துக்க கூடாது, உங்க அம்மா உன்னையும் பாத்துக்கணும்னு சொன்னேன் இல்லையா.
Yeah.
அந்த ஃபீல் அதை நீ அவங்க கிட்ட இருந்து உணர்ந்தாதான் then you will be able to tell. It is an art which is learned. It is not a skill which you are born with.
Really? You can learn
You have to
compassion?
learn. You have to learn. அது உங்க அப்பா அம்மா கிட்ட இருந்தும் நீங்க கத்துட்டு இருந்திருக்கலாம்.
Uh,
ஆனா நம்ம வேலைன்னு வரும்போது அது இன்னும் ஃபைன் டியூன்டா இருக்கணும். அத நேத்து ஒரு சுச்சுவேஷன் என்னாச்சு, ஒருத்தவங்க அதை ரொம்ப உள்வாங்கிட்டு ஐயோ என் பேஷண்ட் சாவு கிடக்குறாரு அப்படின்னு சொல்லி ஓன்னு அழ ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க. அந்த ரேஞ்சுக்கும் போகக்கூடாது. there is a fine line because this is your work. Okay, so you have to learn and compassionately work, and at the same time have a line where like your life and your work has to be balanced. So அதை ரொம்ப தாண்டவும் கூடாது. அதை கரெக்டா பண்ணீங்க அப்படின்னு சொன்னா மணி ஃப்ளோஸ் ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கலி. நம்ம வந்துட்டு கமர்ஷியலா இதுக்காக மணி பின்னாடி ஓடணும்னு அவசியமே இல்லை.
That is true. That is true. Very nicely said. Upgrade yourself, be skilled, be knowledgeable.
Yes.
At the same time, develop compassion to the extent that it doesn't affect your work. Yeah. Then everything will flow. Then you'll be committed, you'll be disciplined. All things will come. Yeah. How nicely said. I think, in fact, this holds good for all of us.
Yes.
All of us in social work, in this sphere, it's very important to develop compassion and also skills. Compassion மட்டும் இருந்தா ஒண்ணும் பண்ண முடியாது. Please. I'm actually little tired of very compassionate people who are useless, no skills. நான் ஏதாவது உங்களுக்கு கால் ட்ரை ஐயோ நீங்க வரவே வேண்டாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிடலாம்னு தோணும். Yeah. Please be skilled and don't be arrogant with your skills. That's why the compassion bit comes, I think,
Exactly.
So yeah, so how nicely said. Very well said. Thank you so much, Mr. Ravi. I'm going to pause recording now. Hold on.
All right.
Oh, wait.